We've shown you many examples of journalism veering outside the conventional lines on this show, but one Newsweek senior writer has made a name for himself this election season with an arsenal of florid headlines, especially florid ones. His name is Kurt Eichenwald, and he joins us now. Kurt, thanks all for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I've been reading your stuff for, 20 years probably, but in the last year, I've noticed an increasingly, I think it's fair to say, partisan turn from you. And so I looked up your bio, and it describes you as a senior writer at Newsweek, which suggests journalism. Do you believe that you're practicing journalism?
When did you stop beating your wife? What are you talking about?
Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I read your Twitter feed, and this is the kind of stuff I'm reading on it. At one point, you ask of conservatives, why do they hate America? You describe Trump as, quote, stupid and lazy. You refer to dumbass Trumpers. You say this to Kellyanne Fitzpatrick, F you. You say this to Trump voters, go F yourself.
Tucker. I mean, one of the things I want to make sure of, you have a real habit of taking a lot of things out of context.
I can read you the tweets.
And so if you're going to talk about
a
tweet, let's talk about a tweet. Read me what it says, and we can talk about it. But let's not just sit here and take a couple of words here and there. Now, if you're talking about the
would you want me to read you some of your tweets?
Read me one. Let's talk about the one that bothers you the most.
Well, I mean, there are a lot. And it's not that they bother me.
But I can't answer a question about a lot of tweets. Give me an answer. Give me a question.
Well, you're entirely entitled to your opinion. My only point is that you ought to label yourself as what you are, which is an advocate. And so you say things like this. How can Trumpsters defend a president-elect?
Let's stop for a second. You won't give me an example.
I'm trying to give you one right now.
Then give me... Here, you know what? Let's play the game another way. I spent a little while just sort of doing some research on you.
Why don't you answer? Let me ask you this question, if you would.
Tucker Carlson falsehoods.
Okay.
And I can sit here and I can read them to you one at a time.
I appreciate it.
And we can talk about what you have to say.
That's pretty good.
Or you can give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. You wrote this on September 12th of this year. You said, this is a tweet, I tweet so many attacks on our bad, lazy work of the press, I doubt I'll ever be voted to win a journalism award again, which is also a humble brag, by the way. But the next day you say, quite ironically, and I'm quoting, I believe Trump was institutionalized in a mental hospital for a nervous breakdown in 1990, which is why he won't release his medical records. Do you see a little irony that on one day you're criticizing the press for being lazy and inaccurate, and the next day you yourself are being lazy and inaccurate?
Let me give you what the question is the journalist would ask. A journalist would ask the question, why did you send that tweet? I will answer it for you now. I've been covering Donald Trump. I started writing about him in the late 1980s. At that time, I obtained his medical records from his real doctor, not from this guy who sent out a medical report then. It showed that in 1982, he was given a very heavy prescription for an amphetamine derivative, and he remained on that prescription for many years. I knew from people inside the Trump organization that they were deeply concerned about his condition, that he was getting reckless, that he was getting impulsive, that he wasn't sleeping, that he was speaking with these sort of great variations of grandeur, that he could do anything. And in 1990, because he did so many deals that were so reckless, his whole empire was going into bankruptcy. And he was going through a divorce, and I was told that there was, and now, let me say, I'm talking about reporting process. So I'm saying, here is what I was told.
Was he in a mental hospital or not in 1990? You allege that he was. Was he or wasn't he? He wasn't.
I mean, Tucker, if you don't want me to answer the question,
I'm asking you the question. Was he in a mental hospital in 1990
But I would
or
like
not?
to answer the question. You've made an accusation. Let me answer.
No, I read your tweet.
So in 1990, I was told that there was essentially a breakdown. I'm giving reporting process here, okay? Clearly, I didn't print it. I also thought Trump was a private individual and that it didn't matter, you know.
Well, you printed it right here.
And that and this was as a result of the amphetamine derivatives that he was taking. Many, many years pass, and we have now the election. Now, up until that point, prior to the election... This is a very long story. You said he was in a mental hospital in 1990. Was he or wasn't he? Can I finish,
It's a really simple
Tucker?
question.
If you don't
I'm asking
like
you
the
to finish.
answer,
Please answer the question.
If you don't like the answer, don't have guests. But I would really like to answer your question.
It's a simple question. Was he in a mental hospital, as you claimed, or wasn't he?
Tucker, Would you like me to answer the question or not? If the answer is no, say so.
Please
but
succinctly answer the question.
You
You're
want an
filibustering
answer
with this
if
weirdness.
you won't let me answer the question.
Kurt,
we can go back and say, oh, here are Tucker Carlson falsehoods. Let's go through them one at a time.
Kurt,
I urge
you said the guy was in a mental hospital.
You can put them on the Fox News website.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer the question or not? Just give me a yes or no. Do you want me to answer the question?
Yeah, I want you to answer this question. Was he in a mental hospital in 1990, as you alleged, or was he not?
Let me answer the question.
Go ahead.
Look, you're not fooling anybody. You're trying to stop me from giving the answer. So let me give you the answer.
This is a little nutty. I got to be honest. I'm asking you a very
I've also noticed
question.
earlier this week you take people off the air when you don't like what they're saying. So let's keep me on the air. Let's finish this. You're making accusations against me. I have the right to respond.
I'm reading what you wrote. You described Trump as a, quote, paranoid, unstable
nobody
man.
is getting fooled by this. You're not letting me answer the question.
Okay.
So
I think that you're humiliating yourself by your unwillingness to answer a simple question. So please answer it.
I am trying to answer the question.
Do you have evidence he was in a mental hospital in 1990, or don't you?
Reality is not always able to give you a yes or no answer. If you don't, look how much time we are wasting with me trying to say, let me answer your question, and you refusing to allow me to do it.
I'll go crazy.
So I will continue.
All right.
What happens then when we get to I begin to see Trump's behavior got very normalized in the 2000s. During the presidential election, I begin to see the same behavior, the impulsiveness, the lack of sleep. I mean, that's the same thing that he was doing.
This is just stupid, Kurt. I'm sorry. Nobody's getting anything out of this. I'm asking you a plain question. You're not answering. You're filibustering. Let's move on to something else. Can you stop? This is not interesting.
No, Tucker.
Let me ask.
I am not allowing you to make an accusation and then
I'm not making an accusation, Kurt.
I'm obscene. It is not
you
journalism.
To substantiate a claim that you made.
If you want to have a dialogue, don't have guests. So
Can I just ask you one last question?
And nobody's getting fooled. You're trying to
stop.
How
can Newsweek employ you as a reporter, Kurt, when you're throwing lines like this around that are untrue, that you can't substantiate, when you say to the president's spokesman, F you, that's not the behavior of a reporter.
Okay, let's go here. Let me take one for you. How can Fox News employ you? You really want to do this? Do you really want to play this game, or do you want me to answer?
I've never had an interview like this in my life.
On Newsweek.com if you want. I can tweet it all out if you want. I'd like you to put it up on the Fox News website. Or you can let me answer your question.
I think you may be coming undone, Kurt. How about this? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer this question. Do you have evidence that he was institutionalized in a mental hospital in 1990? 30 seconds.
Now, okay, I will say this, because it's a message I've got from people from the CIA. I know a lot of officers. I know a lot of agents. I've been in their homes, and they're really delivering this to you and to Donald Trump. These are people who have sacrificed a lot for this country. They go through into the CIA every day. They walk past that wall with 117 black stars. If you're going to say that we can't talk about the fact that there are 117 patriots whose lives have been lost serving this country, that's fine.
I'm starting to have concerns about you, Kurt.
Right now,
tell me what the secret message from the CIA is.
Who are putting their lives on the line, who are to be sources of information for the CIA. That information is coming in. That information is then being put together by analysts who are not well paid, and they do very hard work, and they do it because they are patriots.
I'm sorry, we're out of time, Kurt, and I don't mean this in a cruel way. I would have real concerns if I were one of your editors, and I mean that. I'm not calling anyone a liar, but I am saying I'm concerned about your behavior on this show tonight. But thanks a lot for joining us.
That's because you won't let me answer your questions. I don't think anybody's fooled.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. I appreciate it.